Hi folks, so Rishi Sunak has mentioned Scottish nationalists and people who want independence for Scotland as in a list of threats to the UK. Yes, it was later withdrawn, but actually when asked to explain it or to apologise for it, he decided not to in Parliament. The Prime Minister listed Scottish nationalism alongside Russia, Iran, North Korea, anti-Semitism and gender activists as threats to the country. It came in a section of a speech on the dangers that threaten our country at the Policy Exchange think tank in London. A Conservative think tank, the director of which is Lord Godson, and it's consistently refuses to reveal its source, its funding source, and yet it's highly influential in Westminster policy making. And according to Peter Oborne, the journalist, these think tanks are now more influential and indeed have often replaced the civil service in advising government. So another section of society a while ago was deemed a threat, according to Oborne, and that was the Muslim community. He talks about Gove being influenced by Gramsci's ideas of capturing the institutions to transform society. And Oborne also mentioned the phrase that used by Thatcher against the miners, the enemy within. And he says both these ideas have been adapted by Michael Gove, really. And British society, Gove wrote about in his books, was captured by the left. So we had institutionalised leftism. So public appointments, there to be a war on the civil service, there to be attacks on the law, attacks on the BBC, all of these things had to be changed in order to address Gove's idea of institutionalised leftism, including the EHRC, and its funding was definitely attacked, and even attacks on people who are managing the NHS. And appointments have been made not because of merit, but because of political loyalty. And Gove would say this was essential in order for the government to change the institutionalised leftism, to change it towards a conservative government. It wasn't just enough to say to be democratically voted in and to take control of cabinet or government. They had to take control of the institutions of government. So this latest attack really on Scottish independence and Scottish independence supporters fits in, I believe, with this kind of idea of enemy within. And indeed that's what Sunak said. Yes, he said the independent movement was threatening the UK because it was threatening to dissolve the UK, for it to become, separate. And I'm sure he would say the same about the Welsh nationalists. And I would say Oborne certainly says that because of Gove's push from 2007 really for this stuff onwards, we have got widespread Islamophobia throughout government going unchallenged. So normal Muslim organisations have been marginalised and cut off from the public sphere. So is this what's going to be happening next to those who would like to see Scottish independence? So it's democratic people. We have been in Scotland always marches, peaceful marches, and we always use the democratic systems that we possibly can to further our agenda, our ideas on separate government. Meanwhile, extremists, because that's what they're calling us, extremist ideas such as Suella Braverman, Lee Anderson and Scully, even far-right ideas such as Douglas Murray, are normalised. As Braverman said in Parliament, there's nothing wrong with the ideas of Douglas Murray. So a commission on extremism has the power to label a group as extremist, but who's actually running these commissions? People put in there by political parties, which have been very influenced by think tanks with very small people in charge of them, very small, powerful people in charge of these think tanks putting forward these policies. So, and it seems extremist now to oppose the slaughter of innocents in Gaza or to protest against big oil. Patterns of such appointees to office shows that far right gets more legitimacy And are we now the enemy within?